They have alopecia, went through cancer, lost all the hair, or just hair loss from male pattern baldness. Men or women, when your hair follicles are gone, it's like smooth skin. So we just replicate tiny little dots that look just like the hair follicles where they do have it at, and it looks like they're growing hair.
I've seen stories on your Instagram where you guys have worked with guys with full-blown alopecia. I can imagine that moment where you give them a mirror and they're like, holy shit, I got my mojo back.
We also have clients that come in and that have either contemplated suicide or actually attempted suicide.
Because of their hair?
Because of their insecurities,
Wow.
yeah. One of my clients that I worked on that tried committing suicide twice was because of that. He lost his hair at 6 years old.
At 6?
I got it done 2018, 2019.
Oh, shit.
What would you look like without that? Like, would you be a guy that I would say, dude, this guy's definitely thinning?
Oh, absolutely.
Some guys come in off of vanity. They already look good, but they know that they're gonna look even better with the hairline. Just having that frame, so they're gonna look 10 years younger off rip.
Welcome to the ManLab, where we combine science and health in the pursuit of making men great again.
This is how legends are born. This is how legends are born.
Hey guys, welcome back to the ManLab. Today we've got an interesting topic. It is on the topic of hair tattooing. So this is something I've not been familiar with until recently. And we've got two guys that are incredibly good at it because it can be something that is completely botched. I've seen some amazing fail videos. So we're gonna dive into why would you even want to do this? How does it get done? And is it even a smart thing to get done? So for that topic, we have Jesi and Magik from the studio. I botched the name. What is it?
6EMP.
6EMP. Yeah. I was reading that and I was like, did I read it right?
Or 6E Micro.
6E Micro?
Yeah, 6E
okay.
Micro.
Yeah, I always wondered what 6EMP meant. And I was like,
it was 6E.
maybe it just went over my head. But
Yeah, it was 6 element and then micro-pigmentation. So I piggybacked off the barbershop.
Okay,
called 6
gotcha.
element.
So it's not like 6E, like it's sexy?
Nah.
6E? That's legit. I thought that's what you were doing. Of
course,
I was
that's
like,
really good.
yeah, fuck yeah. I was like, 6E.
Bringing sexy back.
The podcast yesterday, the dude said the same exact thing. where
Damn,
he's
here I am thinking
thought you were going off
original.
of
So at least
sex.
you're not the only one.
Yeah, I didn't know it was a thing. I didn't know it was a thing.
My nephew used to always say that shit, but like, bro, we should do something like, you want to get sexy at 6E, or
Yeah.
come
Hey,
to
listen,
6E
you
to
gotta
get
always
sexy.
think about marketing, you know?
Bringing sexy back.
Yeah, for real.
So run us through, like, just in a quick, just so I can get a full idea for not just me but the audience. What is it that you guys do in order to help men get tattooed hair to look realistic?
So what we do is called scalp micro-pigmentation. And what it is it's a scalp tattoo, man. We tattoo tiny little impressions in people's head that replicates the hair follicles. So whether they're losing hair, like they have alopecia, they went through cancer, lost all the hair, or just general hair loss from male pattern baldness, men or women, when your hair follicles are gone, it's like smooth skin. So we just replicate tiny little dots that look just like the hair follicles where they do have it at, and it looks like they're growing hair.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it's like when you shave your head, you know, and you see that like kind of 5 o'clock
Stubble.
shadow almost. That's what they're attempting to replicate. So instead of having zero differential between your forehead and the back of your head, you can actually see a hairline. And I actually think like you have it done.
Yeah, correct. So I got it done, 2018, 2019.
Oh, shit.
Oh, 2016.
So like practically,
One of my
what
first-
would you look
believable.
like without that? Like, would you be a guy that I would say, dude, this guy's definitely thinning or
Oh,
lost or
absolutely.
balding?
So the reason why I had SMP done was because my hairline was a little bit uneven.
Receding.
Right. Not receding, right? Because I had long hair. I've always had long hair since young. But my hairline was always a little bit hard to shape up.
The barbers would tear up his hairline all the
And
time.
he would know because he's been my barber since we were kids.
Yeah.
But since he left Miami early. I stayed in Miami. And one of the barbers kept pushing my line up.
Yeah,
So-
I live in Miami, man. I know there's some butchers over there.
Yeah. So that's how I started with SMP. He first did my first session, which was just a hairline. But, getting older and going through what we're here to talk about, which is testosterone, hormone deficiencies, and things like that. I gave myself alopecia because I had long hair, and from pulling my hair back, which that typically doesn't happen to men because men usually don't have long hair unless you're braiding it or doing something that you're pulling the hair out.
So the man
That's a
bun
good
is
point,
a
honestly.
bad thing. I used to have a man bun.
Yeah.
Right.
Well,
And like women
depends
who
on the
put like
tension.
put extensions all the time, they do that to themselves too. But it's
Yeah.
the constant pulling of the follicles that creates an alopecia effect, huh?
Exactly.
Yeah. It creates so much tension on the follicle that eventually it just kills the hair follicle.
All right, personal note, I got to ask a question. Does
Yeah.
wearing a hat all the time fuck up the side of your hairline by
Nah.
making you lose hair by the
that-
tightening hair?
That's
'Cause
a myth.
that's how I met Jesi, actually, guys. Like, I got SMP on the side of my hair. Actually, I went to a guy who we will talk about, I won't say his name, but I went to a person who kind of screwed me up. My experience made me find the right guy to fix me up. But I did it on my side because my sides were really thinning out. And I was attributed to because I always wear a hat. But I guess that wasn't the case.
Nah,
Just
hats-
genetics.
That whole hat thing, that's a myth.
Good morning.
Jeff's in. Hello, Jeff.
doing?
Temporary. If everyone,
We're just filming right now.
if you're watching it, guys, this bicep is Jeff's.
Because you're coming here.
That bicep on screen was Jeff. It took up the whole screen. So hats don't ruin, thank goodness, because I was skeptical on hats, beanies. We guys call them toboggans or something, don't you?
I don't know what you're referring to, but
Thing you put on your
beanies.
head.
Scully,
Scully. Scully? I
Yeah.
thought that was a sex move. So find out if you may have low testosterone for free with the Atom test. Now, sometimes it's a little bit nerve-wracking to go into a clinic to get a full blood panel to find out your hormone levels. And sometimes you might just want to sort of kick the tires just a little bit. If you are that person, the Atom test is for you. All it is a couple of questions that are completely non-intrusive, non-invasive, that will help give an indication to you whether you may or may not have low testosterone. And the best part is the Atom test is accurate up to 88% of the time. So for something as simple as a questionnaire, that is a very high number. Now, if you want to make use of that, you can do it online right now. It takes less than 30 seconds to fill out, and it is at bit.ly/free Atom test. That's free ADAM test. Now, if you don't want to remember that, the link is in the description of wherever you're listening or watching this podcast. And then after you've filled out the questionnaire, you will now have a better idea of whether you may or may not have low testosterone and if you need to take the next step, which is a detailed blood panel with a clinic such as T Clinics USA. So again, to make use of that, go to bit.ly/free Atom test and let's continue to making men great again. Let's get back to the show.
only to you, man.
So with the, because you mentioned it looks like hair follicles.
Yeah.
I've seen a lot where it's like they do the lines. Is that a massive no-no with hair tattooing?
That's a massive no-no with hair tattooing for sure. Some people try to replicate like the actual hair strokes, but there's multiple factors, man. One, when you're tattooing like actual lines, for like a regular tattoo, they're going a lot deeper into the skin. And when they make those fine lines, when it heals, it always expands. So when they do that in the head, those little lines end up expanding and it looks crazy. And then two, hair strokes stick out of the head. So then it's flat underneath the skin. It looks crazy. It just doesn't blend in. It doesn't match. And
Yeah.
It does not sound like a good idea.
It doesn't, man. It's horrible. I've seen, like when you first see it done, it's like, oh, wow, that looks kind of like hair. But after give it like 3-4
Yeah, if
weeks.
you've ever got a
and
tattoo, it looks
crazy.
sharp like day of, and then 2 months later, it
yeah,
kind of
some of the
up.
fine lines on mine have
Go away,
expanded
yeah.
a little bit. Yeah. Or they fade away because they didn't go deep enough.
So what's the difference between the type of ink that is used for hair tattooing versus traditional tattoo ink?
So tattoo ink is like the colors of tattoo ink. So I'm gonna just say black, right? Because we mainly use a black ink for the SMP. But tattoo ink is mixed from different colors of pigments to create the certain color, right? With SMP, with the hair tattoo, the ink that we use is natural and organic. It's made from charcoal. So it's a solid black. So it'll never change colors, turn blue, turn green. Normally when you see the bad SMP jobs that are like really blue or really green, 90% of the time is because they're using tattoo ink. And tattoo ink over the years, it changes colors.
So since you've been in this business going back, how long you been doing this for?
7 years now.
Has that changed the technology as far as the ink?
Yeah, when I first got into it, we were using a tattoo ink. It was this one brand there that was the closest thing to a true black. That's what a lot of tattoo artists use for like gray wash. So like the black and white tattoos.
No, I know like this is very popular with Hispanics, very popular with African American guys, which have true like typically black hair follicle, right? So now I see a lot of you guys work with white guys and
Yep.
you know I even saw some redheads. Now, would you use black ink or that gray ink on them too, or do you have variations in the color of ink based on their hair color?
Yeah, so what we do is we dilute it and make it even lighter because we got to match the tone. But then we have a neutralizer that we can add to the black that actually turns it kind of brownish. So it helps with getting that red or blonde.
So so it's a warmer tone if
Yeah.
you use neutralizer. So for example, everybody's undertone or skin tone is different, right? So for example, my client yesterday, his undertone, instead of getting red, he would get darker, right? Because of this pigment.
So you're saying the color of the skin will also
color of the
dictate the difference of how you do the ink, because what comes through the skin now is changed by essentially the filter of the
person's
skin, right?
undertone.
Right.
Yeah.
So it kind of like when you shave, you're gonna see that undertone. So sometimes the skin, it could be bluish or greenish, even when you shave right now. So kind of like you kind of recently shaved, right?
I did this morning.
Right.
Thank you for noticing.
Right. And so you have an undertone, and that's the undertone that we look for when
Interesting.
we're doing the.
And I'm assuming that's guys of your skill set. And I just want to remind, part of the podcast here, guys, is like we're here to educate on the therapy, but also how to help our clientele not go down the bad road. So, make sure you pick dudes that understand or artists that understand
Do
this.
true
Because
research, man. Interview the hell out of these artists.
Because the blue head issue, it's something you do not want. I think we all have seen and know people that are doing SMP, and I think that's a combination of what I've known over the years and learned is that those fine dots spread and they kind of saturate and I've seen some of your Instagram stories where you talk about that, the saturation of the skin and the fineness and the depth also changes. And I'm sure the color tone being wrong kind of all can create this
when you go too
blue
deep,
outcome.
When you go too deep into the skin, what happens is if you go down into like lower than the dermis layers with the SMP, there's other fluids underneath the skin and it all mixes, so it just dilutes the ink even more. So that now the transparency that you're seeing through the skin kind of gives off that green or blue tone depending on the person's undertone. So there's a certain depth that we want to go into. For one, to keep the dots very tiny, and for two, to make sure that the color stays right and the ink doesn't blow out. That's when the ink just spreads underneath the
So
skin.
those blowouts are those big blue dots that look
spreads,
ridiculous, and
yeah.
you can tell like this shit is.
So it's a shallow tattoo compared to
Very,
a
very
traditional
shallow.
tattoo that's deep.
Correct.
And so, what's the reason? This is like a side question, but if this type of tattoo ink is so much more superior in terms of it does not bleed, it doesn't change color as much, why aren't they doing it for normal tattoos?
Well, so again, back to the undertones of people's skin. So if somebody's very white, very transparent, very, very
guy.
palish looking, right? Like you're
It is white guy.
your undertones are more on the cool side, right?
I'll take cool.
So we have to use
time you've been cool.
for
Yeah,
tattoos
cool
they
in a
have
while.
to use more of a warmer tone, so that way it doesn't look blue in your skin tone. But if you have more like reddish skin undertones or like that olive color or like African Americans have that brown color, they're warm already, so you have to use a cool tone.
But like if you gave me an arm sleeve tattoo with the ink that you guys use on the head, what would happen? Same? It would look exactly the same, or would it fade faster? Is it as permanent?
It's gonna fade faster, yeah, because it's more charcoal based than anything else, and the body absorbs.
So are
charcoal,
these
it's not
scalp
really gonna-
tattoos truly permanent, or are they? When you turn 70 years old, are you still going to have a dark head?
I mean,
If
it'll
he doesn't
lighten
touch
up
it
over time.
Yeah, if he
'Cause
doesn't touch it
that's
up, it's
something
gonna
I was thinking
fade
about. I was
out.
like, at some point, I got to come to grips. I'm either going to be dyeing my hair, or I'm going to have gray hair, right? I mean, if you're there's guys that rock
Just Trump
gray
wig
hair
it.
and look great, right?
Hey,
Just wig it.
I'm-
Put a wig on.
But you're going to have a dark,
it's a snowfall every time I cut my hair.
yeah, because you have white hair.
I'm literally full.
So you're
going
going
to
to be like kind of like salt and pepper look your whole life.
yeah, pretty much. Right.
Yeah.
Will sun and all that too
Fade
fade
it
it out
out.
as well?
Yeah.
So you got to be careful.
Yeah, as you age, the SMP will age too. And what's gonna happen is just gonna lighten up.
So you probably have to do touch-ups and stuff along the way, right?
Yeah. I've done so because, like I was saying previously earlier, that I started with just my hairline, but as I started to recede, get older, hormone deficiencies, and things like that, I've had to do multiple sessions. So I'm up to 3 sessions now.
Is it addictive like traditional tattooing? Like, do you kind of find yourself like, oh, I want to do another one, make this look even thicker? And do you guys as artists have to remind clients like, bro, I can't make your head like that crispy because it will look fake. Like, we gotta.
We've had a few that
want to keep going.
Yeah.
I have one guy, but
I have a skin cap.
I'm like 8 sessions in on him, and this is like within the last 5 years. So like 2 years ago, he came in for a follow up. He's like, bro, just check it out. I want to make it darker. I'm like, no, I'm not touching your scalp for 3 years. Leave me alone. You know what I'm saying? If you want to touch it, go somebody else. Let them wreck your head because there's a certain amount. He trusts me. He's very picky. He trusts me.
Yeah.
You know, but there comes to a point where you gotta kind of like just chill
out on it.
And as a professional, like when you come to, and this is one of the biggest differences with us, we are not money driven in any way, shape, or form. Like we got into this industry to help people. We genuinely love to help people. I feel like our purpose in earth being here is to help people. Anything that worked for me, man, I'm gonna pass it on. If I can make you feel good, right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm here for. Like that's why I got into this. And the effects that this has emotionally and mentally on men and women that we work on, bro, you cannot. Yeah, like the happiness we get from their smile is everything right there.
I mean, there is something to be said about feeling good about yourself, body, mind, and we all wear our hair, men especially. Like that's our one thing, right? Like that's the thing that you're like, all right, shit.
What else do we enhance other than hair and going to the gym?
Yeah. It's true.
You know,
my schlong.
Yeah.
That one usually.
But honestly,
sometimes it makes that smile. You know?
I've seen stories on your Instagram where you guys have worked with guys with full blown alopecia totalis. So I've seen women who have really just no hair follicles. Men that literally, I can imagine that moment where you give them a mirror and they're like, holy shit, I got my mojo back. Like,
and some guys come in off of vanity because they just like they already look good, but they know that they're gonna look even better with the hairline, right? Just having that frame of their face, they're gonna look 10 years younger off rip. But then we also have clients that come in and that have either contemplated suicide or actually attempted suicide
because of their hair,
because of their insecurities. Because of the hair. Like, I mean, imagine if especially with alopecia, like when they have the patches of alopecia. Imagine having a full head of hair. Like right now, my hair just starts falling out in chunks, right?
Yeah.
Like this is what I'm used to looking like. So you just start feeling like you're ugly. Like people are gonna look at you like you're weird. Like all those insecurities just start building up, and it takes people to that point to where they've tried committing suicide. Man, it's crazy.
At our business, we have a lot of people concerned about hair loss, of course, because testosterone deficiencies and testosterone abundancies both trigger hair loss. And we have products that help support hair growth. We have therapies that you can apply topically. We make recommendations to things like the red light therapies or scalp rolling. What I like about this, though, is it's instant gratification and the fact that it is permanent. And it's also potentially an undertone to these other ideas. Like you, for example, if you could tell you actually still have true hair. I mean, I don't know how much the camera's picking this up, but you're not like a slick bald head guy. So like, and I'll be truthful again. Like I got SMP. I actually have it in the front because I got some hair follicle transplants when I was a couple years ago. I wanted to make sure that you couldn't see in between every one of them, and so it kind of created that density.
Right.
And I just think this idea that you guys have this option for men, and for those guys who are listening to this, or those women who are listening to this don't know this exists, it's really a great option to either give you this amazing bald head look that now has some hair growth, but also to fill in those thinning areas that you just don't know what else to do about.
Yeah, most definitely. If they're just thinning out, we could fill in between the gaps and it looks like it's fuller. And especially with the hair transplant, like how you mentioned the hair transplants, whenever they get a hair transplant, you can never completely fill in all the gaps.
It's not that dense.
You got to take away all the hair in the back in order to dense it up like that.
Yeah.
And it's not always guaranteed. So the SMP goes perfect with it because it creates that nice natural density to where now it makes you feel better. And then even the scarring that's left behind, we could cover that and camouflage
the little dots
that.
on the holes.
Yeah.
What about guys that have that line in the back of their head? Can
We could
you
camouflage
tattoo into
it.
that?
The
scar tissue.
The line
right?
could be a little tricky sometimes just because the way our skin heals. Not everybody heals the same way.
Yeah, sometimes the scar raises, sometimes it actually goes under the skin. So I mean, but it still takes away that brightness of the skin from that strip. So it makes them feel more comfortable with it than just having that big old line,
Correct.
Yeah, that was such a bad idea for so many men. And it's almost funny because you can almost exclusively tell that every guy that has a line in the back of the head now has a shaved head. Like they tried it, they fucked up, and then now they got the scar to
Yeah.
kind of match
Bro,
it.
they hate it.
And now, you know,
They hate
the follicle transplant, you know, these Turkish methods, and like I went to a guy in Miami, you know, it's so much better. And
Oh, yeah.
but the density's just not there. You know, you can tell
it never
it's still spotty.
And you know, it's almost like false advertisement sometimes, because there's a lot of guys that have a lot of thinning in the crown. And one thing that Jesi always talks about is there's not a lot of blood back
Yeah,
there
the
to support.
circulation in the crown isn't
Right.
as strong as it is in the front hairline.
Right.
So that's why it never really sticks in the back.
But that's why I like those red light therapies, and the skin penning is still really, really recommended. So
Yeah, it helps with that.
I'm a big advocate of the red light scalp cap. I think that thing is
Yeah.
pretty
Yeah,
amazing
and
technology.
vitamins and, you know, things like that. But when you don't know, you don't know. That's
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
that was a conversation we were having on the way over here. When you don't know any better, you know,
It's like most things, though, in our bodies. You know, we get clients that come to us that want to lose weight or want to have more energy or want to grow more muscle, and they think there's like one thing that's going to do it. And I'm like, guys, this whole thing has many ingredients to this recipe. When people ask me, what do I need to do to restore my hair? I said, let me tell you what I've done. You know, I've done the restoration. I've done the SMP. I take Nutrafol. I use the finasteride topic products. I use a peptide called PTD-DBM. I do rolling. I wear the red light cap. It's a fucking whole thing, you know.
Right.
And,
It's
and I still
multi-layers.
have sketchy hair, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, this guy's got a, you know, best head of hair I've ever seen in my life, and probably doesn't do anything for it. Just genetic.
The reality is, if it's in your genes to lose your hair, you're gonna
You can
lose it
fight it
anyways.
every step
you
of the
could
way,
fight it. You could prolong, you know, so it doesn't fall out so fast. You could do all
Right.
these things, but eventually it's gonna come out anyways.
That's the one thing we always
Right.
talk to guys about. They're like, is it going to make me lose my hair? I'm like, listen, testosterone isn't the culprit to your hair loss. It may be the accelerant. You know, if you're
Right.
going to lose your hair eventually,
Then you're gonna lose it.
I don't know if we can change who you're going to become, but you know, now you have options, right?
Yeah, and it's just like with health, right? Like if somebody has rheumatoid arthritis in their genetics, right? Just because it's not flared up right now at the moment, there's ways to prolong it. Working out, making sure the diet's right and all that stuff, so that it doesn't affect them so fast.
Yeah.
funny
right.
he mentions rheumatoid, because I have rheumatoid.
Well, you know,
It was a
that,
dick.
those things that
He's
attach
so
your body, you
specific.
know.
Yeah.
I'm
You know,
sorry.
it's funny too, because like people hang on to bad hairdos for so long when they're thinning, and you're like, man, just shave your fucking head already, bro. Your hair is
Let it go.
struggling. And I think they're concerned because they have to think about like the clean head look versus now this idea that there's this shadowed kind of you know, buzzed hair look that like you're rocking right now, and I did before, you know, decided to grow my hair back out again, and I'll go back and forth, but I think I would be terrified to see what I would look like with no hair. I think I look like a fucking alien or something. But
Well, and the crazy thing is that 10 times out of 10, when they're coming in with those like couple strands of hair that they're still hanging on
Then
to,
they finally shave, they look so much
horrible,
better.
bro. They always look in the mirror, and at first they look in the mirror and be like, oh, shit, it looks
they're scared
better.
to let it go.
Well, it's
Yeah,
like
they
the
look
comb
younger.
over. Like you don't see the comb over anymore. I kind of miss it.
Yeah,
It's like, where's that
Trump's
at?
still rocking a good Trump.
Yeah.
But,
I mean,
you know,
good's a
he's one of the
strong
few,
word.
yeah.
Good's a very
That
strong
thing didn't
word.
even move. When he,
Bro, he got shot. That's it. It's still like, bam,
You got that serious hairspray.
Seriously, man.
So you mentioned you guys do scalps. What's your opinion on people who do tattoo pigmentation for their
For the
beard?
beard. The beard, you know, it can be done, right? We do the beard SMP, but we're very picky with who we do it on. We don't do it to everybody, man, because some people, they want this imaginary dark beard and it looks like shit. It looks like you got a tattoo on your face. And then the skin on the face is different too. Like we exfoliate it naturally on our face way more than we do on our scalp. So the SMP on the face, when it heals, it does fade out a lot faster. So, you know,
You got people
it's
like,
a little tricky.
like people that are trying to change genders, like transgenders that want this now, like that are females trying to transition to men that, you know, maybe want to have it. Do you
We
guys
haven't
do that?
had any
Yeah,
ask,
that's a
but
good
I'm
question.
sure
It's coming.
It'll be a thing. Yeah,
It's coming.
I don't even think they know that that's an option.
may not.
Well, now they
Because,
do.
Do now.
They take so much supplements that make the hair.
Well, they're already
grow,
on
right?
testosterone and shit.
Right.
And half them growing like little
Start growing
baby
little
beards and
fuzz, yeah.
stuff, you know, and it could just help support them.
Or they get a face hair transplant.
I know
too.
some guys that are always struggling with connecting like their sideburn to their beard. Like there's that area in the middle
Little
that
gap,
just
yeah.
was, you know, just
Yeah, we could tie that in, no
like
problem.
I was able to grow damn beard since I was like 20, but like I feel like there's guys that are 40 still trying to grow a beard and can't make it work.
Yo, I feel like you guys are like hitting me, trapping me up right now.
we got your checkoff list.
Literally, that's another topic I was talking about. You know, I have all these grades. I'm 42. I'm gonna be 42 next year.
It's now just all
and
gray.
it's like, am I ever gonna have a full beard? Like my father had a really long ZZ top.
Jesse
beard,
sneezes and grows a full beard.
Yeah, like
Bro,
he grows a
since
beard in a
14
week.
years old, bro.
Yeah, he grows a beard in a week. He had a beard in high school.
Yeah,
Come on.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Ninth
So
grade, I had a
I've
beard.
contemplated doing it on the beard, but
then you have a long beard, so it kind of may look a little awkward that you have these little.
and this is just because I'm trying something new. I'm trying to grow it out. Typically,
to me,
I clean shave.
I think the variation dark and light looks good on you. Though.
Thank
It's
you.
cool. Looks
Appreciate
good.
it, brother.
Yeah.
And his beard looks full right now because of the length of the hairs are covering
Right.
the
Yeah.
gaps. But if he
Okay.
has his beard kind of short, like how mine is trimmed down short like that, it's very patchy.
Right.
So
you gotta
that's
know- you
that's
gotta know
really
your
what we
style.
get. Yeah.
So I've contemplated getting SMP, but I'm just, for myself, I'm confident to have it on my scalp. I'm not so sure about the beard because of what he just mentioned.
and then if they want to shave,
So let me
then they're
prompt a
always going to
question.
have a beard.
Is there a way? Is there a way to reverse this? Like if you fuck up, like then what?
Yeah, you could definitely get laser tattoo removal. Laser tattoo
Like a
removal. and
traditional
get it-
guy that does traditional
Laser tattoo removal. And,
But
and they
isn't
can remove
that
it.
damaging to the hair follicles that are around it at that point? Like if you get it
can
and
be.
still have some hair growth, are you not distorting that skin and scarring and damaging that hair growth? I know because the way that a laser tattoo removal hair, works, these YAG lasers and different ones, they see pigment, and that's why, for Caucasians, when they do a tattoo removal and they go over your arm, man, it's not hitting. There's no heat. There's no nothing, when you're regular skin, but it's 100% on that dark.
Yeah.
So if you have that tattoo in your scalp and then you have dark hairs, wouldn't it destroy those hair follicles? I got tattoo removal on my arm, matter of fact, here.
Yeah.
And all the hair, that was there was wiped out before I got laser hair removal. So
Yeah, so it really comes down to the experience of the person that's doing the laser tattoo removal because
how
the
to dial it
frequencies have to be a lot lower. So like it's the same equipment that they use for laser hair removal, but the frequency is a lot higher to kill the hair follicle on purpose. So if they're doing very low frequency, then it won't affect the hair follicle. It will damage it at the moment. The hairs may turn white, but they're gonna grow right back. And the color's gonna come right back.
Goes
But
back
if the
down.
person doesn't know what they're doing, yeah. But it's also tricky because if the SMP is done incorrectly, if they've gone way too deep, so it gets to a point to where, and even with these regular tattoos, the laser's not gonna remove the ink. It's only gonna remove so much of it. And that's because of how deep it is under the skin, how saturated under the skin is. So like with Magik and with our procedures, because of how lightly we're into the skin, one session will completely remove his SMP. So when he gets older, he gets in his
decides to
50s,
want
and
it.
he's like, you know what? I don't want my sharp hairline no more. I'm done with that. I want more of a natural receded hairline. He could get it one laser tattoo removal, maybe two, take it off completely, and then we could just redo it.
that's cool.
Yeah.
And
So there's options for it as long as it's done correctly.
I'm sure that's for most people when you do something that's arguably permanent. The idea that you can reverse it, I think, gives a lot more assurance that
I
in the
always
worst case
mention that
scenario,
to our clients.
this looks weird, or I look like somebody I didn't plan on. You can
And
back out.
we could confidently say that it's doable because we just recently did a good friend of ours.
Yeah. One of my first procedures that I did, his came out really good, but same thing. He started balding out more. So where he needed SMP to tie in the old SMP to the new one, I was just like, man, look, let's just wipe it all off and let's redo it. And he had a very sharp hairline, and he didn't want that anymore. So I switched up his hairline completely. And it looks really, really good in just one session.
Quickly, before we get back to the episode, please hit that subscribe button if you haven't on whatever channel you're watching or listening to the ManLab. And if you're listening on Spotify, if you could leave a 5-star review on the channel page, that would be greatly appreciated because that will help continue to push it a little bit further for whoever is looking for information to help improve their health. Now, on the topic of information, if you are on YouTube, you can leave a comment below on this episode and we will respond to it with as much information as possible, or it might be another episode down the road. The reason this is important is because the more questions you guys ask, the more we know what we need to do to serve you guys better in future episodes. So comment on YouTube, leave a 5-star review, hit subscribe, and let's continue to help making men great again. Let's get back to the show.
So speaking on hairlines, one things that I think I see when I look on Instagram, and again, being friends with you, I start seeing other people's posts a lot. The trend, I think, for most artists is this really square block, you know, and I know as a white guy, like I don't have that, you know, I have more of a, and so if I wanted this to look more traditional, and I think like you're pretty square, but not as square. Some of them are like bang, like super hard 9-degree angles that are not very natural in, you know, nature. So is there are different options when it comes to like your squared out lines versus natural versus a flow?
Yeah, SMP is 100% customized to the person's style. So if they want that boxy hairline, we could create it. So one of the best things, like with us too, my background is barbering. I've been a barber for over 26 years. So I understand the hairline. So depending on the shape of the person's head, it can be boxy. Sometimes it has to curve up. Sometimes it has to curve down. It has to flow with the person's face as well. Not everybody's natural hairline is boxy. So some people have a natural box hairline. Some people have a natural receded hairline. So, you know, we play off of that. We make sure that it fits that person. So like sometimes they'll show us pictures of when they had hair, and then we could play with that. And if they always had a natural crooked hairline and now they want a straight hairline, then, you know, we could give them the hairline of their dreams.
Is there kind of a rule in your guys' world that you don't go below the natural hairline into the skin that was never had hair into it because you know it's not going to look right?
Yeah, you don't want to go into the forehead muscles. So there is a distance. And there's a couple ways, like when you raise your eyebrows, there's a separation right here in the forehead muscle, right here, where it shows you where it's muscle and then it's scalp. And then, man, the face is broken up into 3 sections. So from the tip of the nose to the tip of the chin is the same distance from the tip of the nose to the middle of the eyebrows, same distance from middle of the eyebrows to the hairline.
See, Jeff, my partner over there, used to have a 2-head. His forehead, his hairline used to start about 2. Now it's grown. He's got an extra 3 on there. He's almost to a 4.
Nah, he's good. He's good.
Yeah. So it really depends,
Yeah, it's
right?
customized.
And then for guys that had hair or haven't seen their hairline in so long, like we've had a couple gentlemen come in that are in their 50s. They haven't seen their hairline in a long time. So with them, you know, it's a process. And I always start with conservative, right? The good thing with SMP is that we could always add. The bad way is we can't take out. Taking out would be laser.
Yeah, whole process.
And we're not in the business of laser, obviously. So, you know, we start conservatively. You know, let you decide if you want to continue to sharpen it up. You know what I mean? The younger guys are off rip. They're gonna be like, I want
it sharp.
Right, chisel. But
How young have you seen people getting these done?
I'm sorry?
How young have you seen people getting the SMP done?
So the youngest age I've done was 17 years old.
17. Is he
Yeah.
already
Was he?
balding?
He was balding.
Dang.
Yeah. Receding hairline.
Like a reverse Benjamin Button.
And I've had phone calls of like 10-year-olds, like a mother calling me, hey, can you do this on my son? He's 10 years old. He has alopecia. Full-blown
And
alopecia.
you won't do it?
We can't do it. The youngest we could work on is 16.
Because of your license?
Yeah, that, and they're still developing. So there's still possibility the hair might grow back, like their skin's, you know, they're still growing. So you can't do that yet.
I can imagine though, you know, especially as a mom, you know, here you are trying to resolve your child's problems and, you know, kind of wanting to fast forward, but to be told to be patient and then tell your child that, you know, but you guys are doing the right thing because
A kid with a
know,
bald
and
head is kind of badass though.
yeah.
It is kind of badass. Like, don't fuck with me sort of look. He ain't gonna get bullied at school.
But like a shaved head,
But
yes,
they
but
do
like a
get bullied, man.
bald
That's
head.
the thing. And kids are horrible.
Oh,
kids are
mean as
horrible,
fuck,
man.
yeah.
One of my clients that I worked on that tried committing suicide twice was because of that. He lost his hair at 6 years old because of
At
alopecia.
6?
11 years old, he tried to commit suicide because of the bullying. They used to take the hat off of him and beat him with the hat.
So, but there's so many like
He went through all
cool
kind of
bald
crazy stuff.
action figure, like kind of badasses in Hollywood now, like Jason Statham, The Rock. You know, some of these guys that
made it look
they
cool.
made it cool.
made it
You know,
look great, yeah.
used to not be cool, but now it's cool.
But
Well,
they're also chiseled with muscles and shit. And actors, right? They
That's
got
right.
the
That's
Just
why I
teach your
think
kids
they're
how to fight. That's the number thing. Just teach your kids how to fight. Next time that kid takes the hat off, just bang, right in the nuts.
Beat them up. Yeah. No, but a good option. I mean, for anybody that's watching, if they're experiencing that with their child, man, is the whole man unit, the weave, the prosthetic hair. They
you
could
put the
do
one you
that
glue
for the
on?
kids. Yeah,
Yeah.
that they can do on kids for sure.
That stuff's
glue that
crazy
on.
too. Like
Yeah.
you see some of these videos where they peel this stuff off, and you're like, "Oh my god, these guys go
yeah.
from stud to dud. They just pull it right off."
Yeah,
You'd
but
be
now
surprised.
it's
Just the
done
same
so
as when
good,
these girls
man,
when
that
they take
you
their
wouldn't even
eyelashes
know.
off, and you're like, oh,
The
man,
eyebrows and shit.
I got fooled.
Crazy. Yeah.
So the other question I've got: what is the craziest area of the body someone's asked you to tattoo?
Only you would ask that question.
Well, I had a girl talking about she lasered her vagina hairs and she wanted me to do a landing strip.
Really?
Did you do it?
No, I did not.
Why
do it.
not? You could have added like little details, like trees
Put
and
your
stuff for
put
the
your
strip.
signature there.
Yeah, yeah. I
Put a
was
little
here.
6 EMP logo next to it.
She didn't look hygienic enough. I'm just gonna say that. So there's no. She didn't look hygienic enough.
So the rule is you have to bathe before.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a
You might
question.
What about
douche
back
and
hair?
everything, but-
What about back hair?
People want to put back
Anyone would like, yeah, you know what? I want the grizzly look. Just put on some back hair on me.
I don't think that's a look.
I don't think so. Nah.
That must be an Australian thing.
Yeah, probably.
So are the guns different though between what y'all use and a tattoo artist? Does it look the same? Or is it a different?
Same machine. The machine itself is the same. The one that we use for SMP and for cosmetic tattooing in general, it's not as strong. So it's not what they use to make like line work. It's more of like a tattoo machine that they would use to do like
And
shading.
the depth has changed.
Yeah, so the
obviously.
depth, they don't hit as hard, but the needles are completely different.
Yeah.
So walk us through, like, I'm a potential client, you know, and I come to you now because I'm going through the stages of recognizing I need some help. I've seen you on Instagram. I realize that this is a great option. I see a guy like you that looks awesome now, and I want to be like you. What is the steps for me to determine, A, this is the right fit and that I'm a right candidate, and what would be the process to go through? Like, I go to your shop, do we shave my head? How long is the process? What's the healing process like? Like, what is the whole, what's A to Z look like?
You start. Go ahead.
Cool. Yeah. So whenever a client's looking into getting SMP done, they're looking at pictures, they're looking at videos. So they already seen people that already have it done and it looks good, but they all have the same exact fear of what would it look like on me? Is it gonna fit me? Am I a candidate for it? Stuff like that. So as a professionals, man, with the consultation, that's our job, is to figure that out, man. I don't want to just take somebody's money and then they regret that they got something done. Some people actually look better bald than even with a hairline. And I've
Do you guys
had
have that technology where you can like show them it, like a fake version?
Yeah. So if they come in for a consultation, they mention, how they haven't seen themselves in over 10 years with a hairline, like they wonder what they would look like. We actually use hair fibers, the little powder that people put to enhance their hair. I could spray on a little bit of the fibers. And actually, if they want a sharp hairline, I could edge it up so they'll see exactly what they look like. And I do it very lightly so it matches their SMP, because some people, they're natural hair follicles. Because some people actually rock it like that on a daily basis, and you wouldn't even know if it's done right. And then we could also make it look kind of natural, so they have an idea of what they're going to look like with the hairline. And that's actually our process. Before we actually start working on somebody, we're going to map out the hairline, do it with the fibers and everything so that they can look in the mirror and see exactly what they look like. Because then they'll tell me, nah, you know what? It's too low. Let's bring it up higher. Or it's too high. Let's bring it down lower. Or let's curve it up a little bit. Let's recede it. Like, we create that option. So one of the main things I tell our clients is like, bro, until you tell me, Jess, Magic, I love the placement, we're not getting started.
So half these guys
You
are on,
100%
they're
control.
on camera with their wives or girls. Like, are you
They'll
like
FaceTime.
Yeah.
They'll take selfies, pictures from different angles, look in different mirrors and different lighting in the office just to kind of get a feel for it. Yeah. This is, sometimes it could take us 10 minutes. Sometimes it could take us about an hour and a half, right? The client has to be comfortable. He has to be ready to go. And I've even had times where we're like, bro, you know what? I don't feel like you're really, really comfortable.
Go home with
Go
it.
home and sleep on it.
Right.
I'll take a before picture. I'll take an after picture with the fibers on there, and I'll send it to them. I keep looking at it, show it to your wife, show it to whoever you feel like you might need that approval from, that makes you feel comfortable with it. Because the last thing I want is to do this,
Not your decision.
and then you regret it.
Yeah.
Right. And we've had that happen too. Like they're hyped, they're ready to go. Then they look in the mirror, they're like, the reaction, like we're hyped. We're like, man, we can't wait for you to see this. Like we don't let them see it till it's done.
Oh, you've had that moment where they've been in the mirror.
They look in the mirror and they're like,
Yeah.
what's up? I'm like, it looks good, right? They're like,
It's permanent.
bad brother. Damn.
Yeah, and it's
Right?
it's an
It's like those
unexpected
tattoos where they
reaction,
put this
right?
stuff on, they wash it off, and it's like a janky tattoo.
Yeah, no. So and they always be like, bro, no. I mean, it looks good. I don't know if I should have done it. Right, and then they go
sometimes
home.
it's a big impact right
Yeah.
away. Like you haven't seen yourself.
It's
like
a
that.
shock.
Yeah. So it could be at the moment. It could be like, and then it throws me off.
It
completely.
throws our mood off.
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah, because I feed off of your energy. You know what I
You're
mean?
like someone
And-
just cooked up a great meal, and the person that you're like, don't taste that good.
Yeah.
You're like, I'm sorry. Like,
But,
All right,
but,
so
but
they
we've
do
never
a lot
had
of-
anybody come back and be on some, bro, I'm just going to laser it. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Like they always man, I'm so sorry that's how I read. A couple days later, shoot us a text or call us and be like, man, I'm so sorry. Like, bro, everybody loves it. Nobody has noticed anything, right? Like, because their fear is that, oh shit, I'm gonna walk out this door and everybody's gonna know I got a tattoo on my
Everybody's
head.
staring at my head now.
Yeah, they walk into the elevator, go downstairs, somebody walk in the elevator, like, fuck, he's looking at me.
Yeah.
Guys,
They're
my
looking at me.
experience when I
She's
did
looking at me.
it, like I left the place and the next morning I woke up and I had blue dots, blowouts everywhere. And I was like, my fucking heart was just dropping. I woke up in the morning
Yeah.
and I almost had a fucking heart attack. And again, I went to someone who didn't know what they were doing, you know, and then of course Jesi helped me fix it. And I had to go through a process of removal and
Yeah.
it was a whole thing. And thank God I didn't have I had hair at the
Whole
time.
head
I was just
everything.
doing, you know, kind of in betweens, but
Yeah. But and you know, back to the laser, like if you have hair follicles that are already on their way out, yeah, the laser will definitely wipe
Yeah.
those out already. Quick, you know.
So is it
So-
it better? Yeah.
well, I just want to kind of follow what we're saying. So after they kind of do the lineup and the photo and make the determination, like now what's the steps to actually get this done? So they figured out I want this height
Yeah,
or
so
not.
once they approve the hairline and they like the way it looks and everything goes, then we exfoliate the scalp, clean it real good. We draw out the hairline and take off the fibers so that we have, you know, the foundation of what we're going to work on, and we go take them to the table. And we just get
How
some
long
work,
is it
man.
taking? Like a
Anywhere
like a
from
session?
like 3 to like 6 hours.
Does it hurt?
It really depends.
I mean, when you do your whole head, like again, I did a very
hairline.
abbreviated hairline.
The hairline
Wasn't
is
a
the
big deal
most
for me.
sensitive area.
Right.
But compared to a traditional tattoo, being a 10, SMP is like a 2 or 3. But it also
Just
depends
annoying.
on the person's pain tolerance, right? Like some people, we've had one person tap out halfway. One person out of, we've done a couple thousand procedures.
Low T.
Huh?
He had low T.
Maybe. I mean,
Is there any kind of numbing agent or anything you can use or you don't want because that distorts the blood flow? Like lidocaine
Yeah.
changes blood flow, so you kind of don't want that. right?
Lidocaine is okay. Lidocaine, actually, what lidocaine does, it slows down the signal from the skin to the brain saying, hey, there's pain. So it makes it more tolerable. It's there's another ingredient in numbing cream, benzocaine, trizocaine, some with a T.
Well, there's BLT is the letters
that's
for topical.
that stops the blood flow to the skin, and that's why you don't feel anything.
But that's also not good for you guys because then the blood rushes back there when it fades off.
Well, that and it takes about 4 days for it to leave your system. So the first 4 days of the healing process is the most important. So if they're not really having much blood flow, that area is not healing, so the SMP completely fades away.
That's one thing about the BLT cream. Good thing you brought it up is a lot of when we do laser tattoo removal, people would ask if we supply it, and you know it's not a good idea because that very reason. What the laser tattoo requires is the lymphatic system and the blood flow to clean up that damaged ink and those broken down skin cells and kind of get rid of it and move on. And when you're putting BLT cream on, so that 30 seconds or 60 seconds of laser doesn't hurt, and you're not willing to just put an ice pack on, you're fucking up the end result.
The process, for
so,
sure.
So those BLT creams are not
some of the
great.
janky places that do SMP. 2 things: one, if they're numbing your scalp, run away. And then 2, if they're charging you by the session. And most of the time, if they're charging you by the session, $200-$300 a session, they're going to numb your scalp. They know it's going to fade a lot. So they're going to get you in for about 10, 15 sessions. And eventually, you're going to pay the same amount of money that you're going to pay me for just the 2 to 3 sessions to get you 100% done.
So after that 3 to 5 hour session, what's the aftercare? Is it just go home and be normal? Am I supposed to stay out the sun for a period of time? Is there a healing process that has to happen?
We believe in moisturized healing. So I tell our clients, the night of, go ahead and just rinse your scalp, and then you're going to apply this cream. So we give them the aftercare. We give them a soap and a cream. They're going to apply the cream on that night after they rinse, and then starting the next day, they're going to start using the antibacterial soap that we give them. And the products that we use are all organic and natural, and what they do is they enhance the natural healing of the skin about 40%. So they get the most retention. It closes off the skin. It heals everything up from within out. So they get the most retention. Their SMP doesn't fade as much.
How long until they get back in the gym? That's what I want.
4 days.
4 days.
With our aftercare.
4 days back in the
4
gym,
days,
that's
you're good.
important to know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If they're not using like the traditional way, they'll tell you not to wet it, not to sweat, not to do anything
No
with
sauna, no that kind of stuff.
They'll tell you 2 weeks before you could get back into the gym. But with the aftercare that we use, 4 days, you're 100% done. I've worked on professional NFL athletes and stuff where I actually worked on them straight to camp.
When
So they're
putting a helmet
sweating
on,
and
they're
everything, putting
sweating
the
their
helmet
ass
and all
off,
that
it's
stuff.
all right.
But since they were using the aftercare that I gave them, it really wasn't a problem.
Can you say what NFL players?
Nah, I can't.
Ah,
I had to sign
see.
non-disclosure. Yeah.
It seems funny because I feel like what's made this really become popular in recent years? Because it seems like this, for me at least, it's like it was out of nowhere in the last like couple of years that this has really popped off.
Yeah,
What made it change?
In the last 3 years, I think there's a couple things, man. Men are starting to get more into taking care of themselves, right? They're not weirded out about getting a manicure, getting facials, get like actually taking care of themselves, right? And then I also think, so after COVID, man, after we opened back up, I think people were really all about taking care of themselves, making
Because you have to
themselves
stare
feel
yourself
better,
in the Zoom
look
camera all
better.
day and realize how fucked up you look.
That for sure.
I fucking hated Zoom calls, and I'm like, damn, my teeth are jacked, eye looks fucked up, and I'm like, I need to do everything now. This damn Zoom camera made me
I
look
mean,
terrible.
I'm sure that has to do with it, but I think people are a lot more aware of their health now. Like they're starting to trying to take care of themselves even more now. So I feel like that's really what it is. And the whole cosmetic thing, like before, that's just a woman thing. You know, women are the only one enhancers. We're men.
I'm sure
we're
social
good.
media too, right? I mean,
That's
like
social-
we have to give recognition to the fact that if you don't know something exists, and then all of a sudden you're seeing it constantly, and you're self-conscious about your hair, chances are you clicked on one of your ads or something along the way, and now you nonstop see this stuff, whether it be you guys or other people, and you're like, all right, fucking, I'm going to do it now. Like it's just like our business.
And
I mean,
when you search anything for hair loss, still today, the number one thing is going to pop up is either Rogaine, right? Any of these medicines,
Hims, which
Hims
is now
now,
Hims.
or hair transplant.
and again,
people-
like I said earlier, I don't think it's this or that. I think it's
Yeah.
a combination of all.
Yeah,
you know,
all that
like
together.
why don't in even our business, people think like, what do I need to do to lose weight? And like semaglutide, tirzepatide, like that's one ingredient, but a
Drink
diet's
water,
still necessary.
water,
Exercise,
diet,
water,
sleep.
peptides, hormones.
Yeah.
Like it is always a big recipe for a great result. There's never. I mean, how many foods do we eat that are just one ingredient things? Almost nothing, right? I mean, they I mean, that's arguably like the healthiest thing, but but you typically make a recipe of multiple ingredients, and to have a great end result, you have to do
Have multiple things, yeah. But the awareness.
For me, I'm gonna be fully transparent. I didn't believe in SMP at first. I was a hell nah.
Really?
Especially because again, so my background is an artist, so and there was a time where I was trying to get into tattooing. I have a couple friends that are tattoo artists now. I was the guy apprenticing in the back of the tattoo shop, creating the needles, making the needles. So back in the day, tattoo needles were soldered, right? The only thing that you would get was the stem, and I would solder the needles, and then we sterilize, we cook them on the cooker, and then we bag them. You know what I mean? So and then I could never think of a needle that was thin enough to create a small.
I mean, you guys
Dot.
are like, I mean,
Tiny,
so
tiny,
tiny.
tiny.
little
Correct,
dots.
but at the beginning,
Asian
so
hand, you
for
must-
myself, I didn't believe in SMP because of that reason. The reason why I think people start to believe in it now is because of the results.
Yeah, they're starting to see it. I remember when I first mentioned it, him. So Magic, my wife, and then my other buddy John, they're my go-tos for everything. I come up with an idea, I'm like, oh, this is it. I come to them, they're the negative side of my brain. They're like, yeah, but this, but that, but this, but that.
Hey, I know what that feeling feels like.
Right?
Those partners that tell
Bro,
me
you
my
have to
ideas
have
aren't that
that.
great of an idea, and I'm like,
You have to have that though, man. Like,
Just
there's-
trying to be devil's
There's been
advocate.
times
you have to.
yeah.
You have to see things from both sides, right?
Yeah, you have to. There's been times where I'm like, damn, yo, you're right. Right? Because the whole hype is, that's all you're seeing. You're blinded by it. But with this being in the hair industry, being a barber for so long, in my family, we all have a full head of hair, except for one of my uncles. And I seen his struggle when he lost his hair. I seen his insecurities, the years of Rogaine, working, hair falling out, working, hair falling out, until I finally talked him into shaving that shit. But I seen what he went through, so I always focused on cutting people's hair that were losing their hair, whether they're thinning or balding. I'd figure out a way to make it look not so bad so that they felt better about themselves. But that only lasted a week, 2 weeks, however long that the haircut lasts for. So when I found out about SMP and I seen a good one done, I was like, oh, this is it. I could do this. I've been an artist. My background, I've been an artist my whole life too. So it's pointillism. It's just little tiny dots. So I just had to figure out, okay, what do I need to use? How do I do it? And I'm doing this because I have a clientele that I could provide for, because a lot of my clients were bald. So the moment I got into it, I had 28 people ready to go. First 2 weeks, I knocked out 28 clients.
Wow.
One of our close friends was actually my second one, Chico Boom. He was my second one that I did. He He actually called me, yo, Jess, congratulations. I'll be up there Sunday, so you can do my head. I'm like, nah, boom, chill, bro. I gotta
get a little more experience.
I gotta set up the office. He's like, no, nigga. I'll see you there. Click. Like, fuck. So I started practicing on the melons. He came out. He was my second client, man. And that was pressure because he's a big name. A lot of people know this guy, especially in our industry. So if I messed him up, right, I'm exposed. But yeah, so I seen the niche in it, and he was like, nah, hell no. My wife was like, a tattoo on the head. Think about it. I was like, nah, this is gonna work.
And then I became one of his guinea pigs, and it worked for me. I know what it's done for me, for myself. So I that's what it's made me a believer of it.
Yeah.
Then after getting it done, that's when I got trained. Again, he started to train. I waited maybe 2 years after you were ready?
Was it 2 or 3 years?
Like,
no, it was 3 years. 3 years because you've been up here 3 years.
Yeah. I'm going on my 4th year.
Yeah.
So, I took my time to really submerge myself into believing in SMP.
Do you still do regular tattoos? I mean, you're exclusively this now?
Yeah. So tattooing, it was like, it was a phase. I kind of wanted to go, I was more intrigued into the marketing and advertising side of things. Like I was always into like, since I'm a graffiti artist, as a graffiti artist, you're always looking for a wall to get up on, right? But then you start to see billboards and magazine ads and things like that. So I always figured, man, who's creating this stuff? So I endeavored into the graphic design thing. Like he wanted me to be a barber, and that was cool. But I was always into, I want to know who's doing that.
Yeah.
So that's how I went on my path. But, for a long time, me and Jesi, we've always wanted to do something together. And SMP...
And we've done multiple things together.
Yeah, we've done multiple things together. But SMP is what brought us to this point where now we're really...
So you live in Tampa now too, though?
Yeah.
So for those, everybody listening, like Jesi and Magik are located in Tampa.
Hey guys, so just quickly, we've noticed a lot of you commenting that you're not sure where you can go to get trusted and safe peptides, semaglutide, tirzepatide, testosterone replacement therapy, or testosterone boosting therapy. And we wanted to just make mention that T Clinics USA is one of those places. Now, Alex and Jeff, who you see in this podcast frequently, they're probably in this podcast right now with me, they are from T Clinics USA. And as they've shown in episode after episode, details is what matters. So just because you may want something or think you need something, they are going to make sure that you are getting the thing that is right for the goal that you have. And what's better is they offer a 10% introduction discount to anyone who is listening to the ManLab. So that is you. So if you wanted to make use of that, get peptides or testosterone from a place that you can trust that have your goals in mind and want to show you the right way to get there, go to tclinicsusa.com, mention the ManLab for 10% off your first package, and you can even ask Alex or Jeff directly any questions you may or may not have, which is kind of cool. So just again, tclinicsusa.com. If you don't want to remember that, the link is in the description of wherever you are listening or watching this podcast. Mention the ManLab in the contact form and you will receive 10% off your first package. Now let's get back to the show.
Obviously, you've been doing this for 7 years. You're very experienced. 4 years, I think, now. So you... because this is a reasonably a newer thing out there, and there's probably a lot of artists that are realizing that there's money in this.
Yeah.
What would you suggest to somebody out here who doesn't live close enough to you guys to book appointments with you two, to make sure that the artist they go to is actually good at what they do and that they're not going to end up botched? What's the suggestion on how to vet a good artist? They
got to examine the pictures and make sure they're not edited. Make sure they have good videos. But really, at the end of the day, it comes down to the vibe that you're going to get with that artist. If you feel like you could trust them. And if you almost feel like you can't trust the pictures or videos, ask them if they could actually show you a client. Because we've all worked on somebody nearby. So whenever we do get that experience, I'll tell them, like, if they have hair, I'll be like, okay, well, my partner Magik has it. Right? So you can see what it looks like density.
Like a similar
But if they have somebody that's completely bald or something like that, or they want to see somebody that's had it for like 4 years, healed and everything, I'm like, all right, well, look, the manager of my barbershop's 1 minute away. I'll have him come over so you can see it in person, right? So you want to actually try to see something for real, so that you know that the results are good. Because also, like you mentioned, when yours was done, the next day the blowouts were there, but the day of it wasn't. So
Right.
that's kind of how it happens. The next day is when the bad stuff happens. So when you see the healed results, too, like sometimes the oversaturation part doesn't look oversaturated when it's first done, but what makes it oversaturated is when they put the dots way too close together. Over time, in the course of the next couple
bleed
months,
together,
they
it's
all
like blue.
bleed together, and it just looks like a shadow tattoo on the head.
Yeesh, yikes.
Yeah, like
So
a
just
shoebox.
Truth be
again,
told, though, like most of our clientele travels.
Yeah, the
to,
majority
see,
of our
to come
clients.
to you.
Yeah. So
everywhere.
now is when we're actually trying to tackle our hometown.
Yeah, marketing wise.
Marketing wise
Yeah.
and community wise, because we want to raise awareness, right? Like this is all part of awareness. It's not like we're not, I know you mentioned like people see the money pit in it, but we're seeing more of the awareness of it, right? Because that's what convinced me that it looked natural,
Yeah.
that there are good results.
I mean, look, this is a career for you guys. I mean, you have to make a living. You have to feed your families. I'm
Correct.
sure you have to love what you do. You know, you have to find that there's a bigger purpose than just a paycheck. I think in life, like you guys said earlier, you're giving people their confidence back and whatnot. And that's awesome that you're able to be in an industry like us. I mean, you know how many lives we changed by giving guys
Oh,
their
yeah.
confidence. And I do want to step into your life-changing
talk about it.
transition for just a minute before we do leave this conversation. But as a career, you know, I think it's important that people do find that they don't just enter into this assuming that all SMP is the same, and
Yeah.
to be very careful, because like plastic surgery or tattoo artists, there are guys that you can go on Instagram and watch some of the badass tattoos in the world, and you're like, holy shit, I want my arm done, and then you end up with some that looks like kindergartner drew it. Fuck, I'm stuck with this thing. And remember, this is on your head the rest of your life. You went in there for an insecurity, and now you're more insecure because you think everybody's staring at this blue head that you have, or these blowout dots, or this unrealistic hairline. And where you went in to fix a problem, you created an even worse problem. And I see that happen a lot with plastic surgeons. Women who have vulnerabilities about their lips being potentially too small, and now they're too big, or Botox, you know, they go in because they're worried about wrinkles, and now they have a dropped eye. And you know, just be careful with who you decide to go down this path with. And you do offer a school, right? So
Yeah, I
that's
teach
also
it.
something that they could look for as students that have kind of trained under you, if that's in their market, right?
Yeah. Well, let me drop a gem as far as like somebody, again, like you said, that's far away, they can't afford to travel or something like that to us. Because again, our clientele, bro, like we work on people from all over the United States. We've had people come from Canada, from New Zealand. What was that?
You always mess
I
up.
always messed that one up. Where dude come
Afghanistan.
from? Afghanistan. We had a guy come from Afghanistan. To get his
Egyptians are
procedures
real
done.
big into this. I know that's a big thing in Egypt.
I'm actually working with a guy right now that's going to be flying in from London. You know, so people will travel for this, and it's because you could be in and out. If you're if you're in the United States, you could fly in first thing in the morning, get it done. About 4 hours, you're out of here, back on a flight, back to your hometown.
So Tampa's the new Turkey.
Yeah, for SMP. Yeah. But if you can't afford to move around like that, something that's going to show you if that artist is legit and you could trust him is ask him if he could refer you to somebody in the area or closer by. Right, because we all have a network. Like I know a lot of people in the SMP industry, so if they're reaching out from like Chicago, let's say Illinois. I have somebody that I could refer them to, which I do all the time, and he does vice versa with me. So you know we work with each other. But if they're not willing to refer, you already know off rip.
They're on an island by themselves.
That I care
They're
about
self-learned.
people is fake.
Yeah.
You know, they're self-taught.
They're
and probably don't
self-taught.
know.
Yeah. They don't want to share the wealth with everybody.
So you want to go to the story?
Okay, I want to transition over to something that, of course, I just think is relevant to our business, and it sounds like the two of you guys have actually gone down a little hormone, journey. Jesi, I've known for many years. The day I walked in to get Jesse's assistance on my blowouts, Jesi was standing about 120 pounds heavier than he is today.
Oh, yeah.
If not
Shit.
bigger. Big
I was
boy.
blown out.
You're a big dude. I mean, to a point where I saw him after, I did not recognize him when he said hi to me one day. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? So tell us about, where were you at that point of your life? What made you made a decision? I know you got kids and you were a family, you're on your feet all the time.
Yeah.
Tell us about you at your worst. How big were you? What was the moment that you decided to change your life? What journey did you take to get there? And then now that you're here, in reflection of kind of the previous you, did you wish you kind of knew earlier?
So when we met, man, I was 298 pounds. I was at the biggest I've ever been in my life. I As a kid, I was always like the little chubby, kind of stocky, strong looking kid. I was never like a skinny kid. Getting into high school, I used to break dance, so I did get really fit when I was breakdancing. And then
Could you head spin?
Huh?
Could you
head
head
spin?
spin?
All of that stuff, man. Hell yeah.
Never could do that.
We're gonna have him on camera in a moment. Too.
That doesn't pull your hair out.
Yeah, it can. It really can. Yeah. I do have friends that had that bald spot because all the head spins, like they did head spins all the time. But so being a breakdancer, I was really fit. But I started cutting hair when I was 14. So as soon as I graduated high school, I opened up my barbershop. So I went straight into business right out of high school. Literally like a couple months later after graduating high school. So at that point, all the fun, all the working out, all the worrying about that stuff was out the window. It was all business. So that's when I started gaining weight. And I just blew up from one year to another, got like really big. And moving on, to 4 years ago. Yeah, exactly 4 years ago, right? I've succeeded. I'm a goal killer. When I set a goal, I accomplish that and I make it happen. So I got to a point in my life to where I'm like, man, I have this family I've always wanted. I got 3 amazing kids, an amazing wife that we've been together since high school. I got the 2 dogs. I got a badass 4,000 square foot house with a pool. Like I have
You made it.
3 businesses, like
Everything that we
great
couldn't
friends.
think of
Like
when
I
we
felt
growing
like, yeah, I'm like, what else? Like, why am I still miserable? Why am I still depressed? Why am I still like hating it? Well, I've always been into the way I look. I did care about that at one point. And even in my process to become successful in the barber industry, I blew up. I made it, right? I built a huge name for myself. I used to get on stages teaching people and doing these crazy ass designs and motivational speaking and all of that stuff. But I hated the way I looked on the stage, but I couldn't let that stop me from becoming who I wanted to be and building the brand that I wanted to build. But that grind, that hustle didn't allow me time to be healthy with what I was eating and working out and all of that stuff. And if we go back to childhood, I wanted to be a bodybuilder. My brother's a bodybuilder. So anything he ever did, I wanted to do. He used to break dance, so that's why I break danced. I used to lift weights heavy a lot because he used to lift weights. So I wanted to be a bodybuilder. So I was always into the way I look. But I let it go to find my success. So in 2020, that's when I was like, man, I'm done with it. I tried taking advantage of the downtime that we had with the walking and the running.
COVID.
I put a gym, during COVID, sorry.
Yeah.
That's a good way to put it.
I put a
Downtime.
gym, yeah.
Break. The forced
my
break we're all on.
Global
Yeah.
break. Global recess.
I put a badass gym in my garage and did all that stuff, but I still wasn't losing the weight, man. I was still struggling. And obviously it was really the diet more than anything else. But I've done diets. I even tested the whole 80-20 rule, right? 80% diet, 20% workout, right? Where I went, you know what? I'm going to strictly diet and eat very clean, and I'm not even going to work out and see what do I do. I lost 50 pounds in 12 weeks just eating clean, right? So I proved that to myself and everything, but I bounced right back within 3 months. I'll do all these crazy diets, the shots, the HCG, like I did all these things, man, phentamine, like all of that stuff. I played around with, spent so much money on that stuff, but I lose the weight, boom, come right back within a couple months. So for a long time, my wife was like, yo, just get gastric bypass. But as a man that always kills his goals and succeeds at everything that he does, that was my only failure, was losing weight and committing to that. That was my only failure. So getting a gastric bypass done, I felt like that was cheating and I was being a bitch, right? Like I wasn't a man. Like that's how I felt about it.
Because you couldn't do it on your own.
Because I couldn't do it on my own. So I had one friend of mine that got it done, and he's somebody that I look up to. And he was like, yo, Jess, little bro, I just got this done. I was like, man, I was going to ask you because I've been seeing you just dropping. He's like, bro, get it done. This the best shit I could ever done. And at the same time, I have a close friend of mine that's a doctor, and he was like, Jess, get the gastric bypass done. You've done all these diets. You'll drop 50, 60, 70 pounds, and you'll shoot right back up. The amount of time that it takes for you to drop that weight, to lose 100 pounds, and then change your body so that it continues to live, to know that now this is the new you, it's going to take you 2 to 3 years of staying committed to it and sticking to it. Get the gastric bypass done. Your stomach's going to be very small. It's going to be so hard for you to bounce back to getting fat again. So that's going to help you. That's going to force you into sticking to a healthy lifestyle, because you're not going to want to have to do this all over again. Then the life-threatening risk of gaining weight again, and then if you're going to try it again, or your staples coming apart and now your stomach's wide open in your body, and you got to go to like crazy surgeries, like you're not going to do that to yourself. So I was like, man, that makes a lot of sense, because I've done the whole bounce back up and down. So I said, man, fuck it, bro, I'm gonna do it. Right, got the gastric bypass done. I committed to the eating part, but I wasn't even really
Did you have any
working
complications
out.
with it, or it was smooth?
Man, it was smooth as hell. I just felt like I did 1,000,000 sit-ups and I just had a sore six-pack, bro. Like that's all it felt like afterwards.
Did the malnutrition, I mean, you have great hair. Did it trigger any hair loss for you? I mean, I think that's just based on this topic that we've been talking about. Did that happen?
At first it did, because so the only side effect to getting gastric bypass, right, what I was told and what I've experienced, is that you do have to continue to take multivitamins.
Yeah.
Because now your body, that part of your stomach that separates everything, that the nutrients and all of that stuff, my body doesn't absorb all the nutrients like it naturally should. So I just got to be ODing on my supplements. That's pretty much it.
How yellow was your piss?
Huh?
Pretty yellow?
Was it?
Yeah, radioactive?
Yeah.
Nah. Yeah, sometimes it could be. You smell the vitamins.
If you're on the
in it.
right type of vitamins, which we have good versions.
All right, too
Fine.
short.
Yeah. But
And this was before really semaglutide, tirzepatide was
way
popular.
before all of that.
So
Yeah, way before
Yeah,
all of that.
what year was this?
This was 2020, August 19 of 2020. So in a couple of weeks, it'll be 4 years that I had it done.
And really, semaglutide, tirzepatide didn't come out for tirzepatide last year and semaglutide the year before. So it was like
Gotcha.
22.
Yeah. So what was I at? So with the hair stuff, yeah. So the body doesn't absorb all the nutrients. So I slacked off on my vitamins for a couple months, and my hair was getting real frail. And at the time, I've always used to rock like a 2 on top skin ball fade, but my hair was getting real thin. My cowlick, you're starting to notice that
I was getting ready.
thin.
Oh,
Thought you
yeah.
were gonna test
Everybody's
it.
messing with me.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah. So I was like, oh man, you know what? Let me get
Welcome
back to my
aboard.
vitamins. I know when my wife had our second child, she was experiencing, the natural hair loss after, giving birth, but her hair was receding and wasn't coming back. So she went to the doctor, and they told her that her iron reserves wasn't,
She was, like,
her body
anemic.
wasn't reserving it. She was anemic. So they told her, just take iron pills and take biotin together. And her hair, even her baby hair, started getting long. So at that time, my second son, he's 14 years old now. So we're talking about 14 years ago. So for 14 years, I've always told my clients that were starting to thin, you should try just over-the-counter iron pills and biotin, bro. It's going to thicken your hair. And it worked. It helped.
And on that note, just be careful, guys. Iron will make your blood thicker. So if you're on
yeah,
testosterone
you
and you're
gotta-
already combating thick blood, don't start ODing on iron pills because you'll be
Yeah,
pushing sludge.
definitely get it checked out.
Yeah, if your
first.
testosterone level's low, you can do it. But like us guys are on tests,
Yeah.
that's something we're always kind of competing against is dense blood. So
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, but I started taking that along with my vitamin, and my hair thickened up real fast, and that's what led to this hairstyle. Now that I started rocking, I was like, you know what, it's thick. Let me grow it out, and my wife won't let me cut my hair now.
yeah, that's good. That's good. So besides the gastric, so then I know you became a client of our companies along the way, and
Yeah,
if
so
you don't mind telling us.
after that, the working out, the eating cleaner kind of helped
You
me
start
get to where I
crushing the
wanted
gym.
to.
I see it on Instagram all the time. So
but recently, and then you know what? Last year, so like you mentioned the semaglutide, I started taking tirzepatide because I got to a point where I was just stuck at like 220, and I couldn't go any lower. I was looking lean, but I was still like holding on to it, and I want to get down to like 175 around there. So I found out about the tirzepatide. That's when I found out, and I started taking it, and that helped out. That helped me break that
yeah,
stagnant.
because tirzepatide and semaglutide is like a chemical version of what gastric bypass is to a point, because it does
Kill your
minimize
appetite.
how much you can eat because it slows down the gastric emptying
Yeah.
effect.
Yeah.
It doesn't stop your stomach from being able to hold food, but your body doesn't process food, so it kind of stays full longer, right? So it kind of
And
has a
if you're gonna try to get strict on a diet, it helps you, I think, because
for
you're
sure.
not really
Quiets the
hungry.
food noise.
Yeah, some of like a greasy ass cheeseburger, right? That smells so
Sounds
good.
so good right
that
now.
greasiness is like, oh, that
Yeah.
smells like, oh, that shit's
well, because on those
disgusting.
drugs you pay for it. You
Yeah.
take semaglutide or tirzepatide and you eat a greasy burger, man, you're gonna have acid reflux, heartburn, diarrhea. You're
yeah.
like, shit, it was not worth it.
Yeah.
Plus, the biggest thing I always tell people about those two drugs is it quiets the food noise. It's like it turns the
Yeah.
volume down on that guy saying, cheeseburger sounds
Yeah,
good.
yeah. So it helps you. It's an extra thing to help you get to where you're trying to get to, right? But so doing that. But then a couple months ago, I started noticing. I'm hanging out with a group of friends, and some of my group of friends are older than me, right? They're like in their 50s and stuff, and we're hanging out, and and it's like 10:30 at night, and I'm over here yawning. I'm over here like falling asleep. I'm feeling like I wake up with energy, and I'm like a bad battery, right? By 10 o'clock, my battery's died out, and I'm starting to get tired and sleepy, and I just can't hang no more.
Fall asleep on the couch.
Yeah,
During a conversation.
the sex drive is getting a little bit lower and stuff like that, and you know, just all of those things start playing. And I've always known about the testosterone therapy and all that stuff. So I was like, man, you know what? Let me go ahead and get it checked out and see what's going on. That's why I reached out to you. And you know, I'll tell you this, man. The other night I was hanging out with some of my buddies, and my buddy's like, hey, I haven't seen you yawn in a while. You ain't falling asleep no more. You've been hanging out. We just went to New Orleans. New Orleans was nonstop. And yeah, like not once
Brings
was I
you
getting
back,
sleepy.
right?
Yeah. And then, but the moment I go to sleep.
You're not on testosterone, you're just on boosting therapy
boosting,
right now.
boosting, yeah,
Because your levels are actually pretty solid on boosting. So
yeah. So, you know, we're working on it like the way you suggested. But I do feel like I'm sleeping so much better. I have so much more energy.
we started peptides now too.
You started with the peptides. And like this morning, I woke up at 4 a.m. to drive up here, and 4 a.m, my alarm clock got up. I'm like,
You jump out of bed at 4. You can't wait for 4 o'clock. to
yeah,
come.
before I used to have 6 alarms.
Nuviva Medical Weight Loss has helped over 50,000 men and women in Florida lose over 500,000 pounds in body fat. Now, there are wonder drugs out there like semaglutide and tirzepatide, but it's important that these tools are used properly and safely with the correct guidance, because that guidance is what will help you make sure that you're losing that unwanted body fat while keeping the lean muscle mass. Nuviva Medical Weight Loss has over 10 clinics statewide in Florida with expert coaches who are with you the entire way, helping you with any habit adjustment, large or small. The secret behind Nuviva's continual success with their clients is their in-office expert experience. You will speak directly with a support coach, and if you have any questions, you will get immediate answers. If you are struggling, you will get immediate adjustments or pivots that will keep you on track with your goals. And what's great is you can choose the route of your weight loss goals. So if you just want to take diet adjustments and some supplements, you can do it. However, if you want to go a little bit of a stronger, faster approach and use semaglutide or tirzepatide, the Nuviva expert coaches can also help you along the way with that as well. So if you have a lot of pounds to lose or even just a few pounds, and you know that having some support with an expert coach will get you there faster, contact Nuviva at either nuvivaweightloss.com or send them a message on Instagram at Nuviva Weight Loss and mention the ManLab for a little perk. That is Nuviva, Nuviva weightloss.com or at Nuviva Weight Loss on Instagram. So hit up Nuviva, get an expert coach, get that support you want, and let's get you feeling amazing again and lighter again. Let's get back to the show.
You know, because of your massive transition is the skin issue that, you know, unfortunately is something that when you lose that kind of weight for some men,
You're going to have some.
you're just going to have it. But it also, the hormones, testosterone and the peptides can help tighten some of that skin back up to some degree. It won't cure the excess skin, but at least it'll make it manageable to some point too.
And obviously, you know, the building muscle. So like me, my
And then you can
experience.
fill yourself back in a little
with
bit.
my experience as far as with the skin, I do have a little bit of skin like in my lower abdomen area that I'm definitely going to have to get removed. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing you can do about it. It's not a lot. So right now I'm just waiting till it gets extremely like as least amount of fat
Right,
possible,
lean
and
it
then
up as much as we can.
I'll remove it. But like my chest, I do have a little bit of skin on the sides, but I know that the more I build up my chest muscle, it's filling it because it's already been filling it in.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So you know it's kind of improving that. So that's helping out too because it's helping me build muscle and stuff like that as well.
Hell of a journey you've been on, man.
Oh, yeah, but-
I applaud you for taking that big step that you were self-conscious about and not willing to admit what you thought was defeat by waving the flag and saying surgery was the option. But sometimes it is, you know, and now I don't
wish
think,
I would have did that 15 years ago.
I wonder if, you know, tirzepatide back then was available, if that option would have been the cure for you in you know, instead of the bariatric surgery. But I guess we'll never know. And those two things work awesome with each other, you know. So
you know,
and again, like I said before, it doesn't have to be this or that. It can always be
So
combinations.
the way I found out about the tirzepatide is I went back to my doctor and I was like, look, man, you know, I'm doing the diet, I'm eating like this and this, and I'm not losing any weight. And so he's the one that suggested it to me. He's like, look, now this injections are out, whatever. You could do this now. We've been referring this to our clients. So after the 2 years of having gastric bypass, your body's back to normal, and the effects of it, the effects of the gastric bypass isn't really going to do anything for you. So you do got to take advantage of that first like a year and a half, because you'll get the most results out of it.
So I know we're getting long in the conversation, but Magik, are you kind of going down the same path yourself from your health? Or are you going to become a client, or what's going on here?
Well, I was in a similar place like Jesi was. So my heaviest weight was 292 pounds.
Wow.
Same thing. I've always been a big guy. I was football player in high school, 4 years varsity, wrestled. He was just asking me what was my weight in high school. I was 185 ninth grade. I was 205 by my senior year. So, I was
guy.
Yeah, always hit the gym, things like that. What happened with me was that I gained weight after, I got married early, got divorced early. A lot of things happened in my life where, health took a step back, and I gained a lot of weight. How I came to realize, or what helped me, was that I got diagnosed with leaky gut. I have an abundance of candida in my gut. So really it was more swelling than anything.
Candida, guys, is like a yeast development in your guts. When you eat sugars, carbohydrates, you bloat out. Just like if you put yeast in dough, how it rises. The same thing happens in your body.
Correct.
In women, it results in a lot of yeast infections. And men, we touch a carbohydrate, your stomach bloats out.
Exactly.
There are supplements, there are medications. Supplements that you can use to kind of extinguish the candida overgrowth.
Right.
There's actually medications that can truly kill it.
Bacterias and probiotics and things like that. Because same thing. At the time, I was looking into powerlifting. Because I've always been in the gym, and I was already almost 300 pounds. So it's like, I got to do something with this body, right? Like I got to move some weight.
Yeah.
So I got into that, and then I started dieting. My primary doctor told me I was low iron, that I should start eating more red meat, things like that. And the more I dieted, the more green beans I ate, the more red meat I ate, the more I got sick. So I got sick off of that. And when I went to the doctor, I went to a holistic doctor. And he diagnosed me with pretty much, I was deficiency, a lot of food allergies, things like that. And sugar. Sugar is my number one, that's my kryptonite, and, my culture, where we come from, rice and bread is a staple. So for me, that was the big thing. I started doing, I didn't want to go down the gastric bypass route or nothing like that, because what he mentioned, I'm a man, I could do this, And, he just told me basically just lay off the sugar, let's kill the candida. We kill the candida, we'll fix everything else, I was pre-diabetic, and he pretty much told me, you got maybe 2-3 years before we start looking into colon problems, colon cancer, things like that. That scared the shit out of me. I just recently lost one of my best friends about a year and a half ago.
Yeah, almost.
To colon cancer. He was 42 years old, and I'm about to be 42. So 2018 for me was the time where I said, you know what, let me start taking care of myself. And I dropped 80 pounds in 7 months.
What kind of diet did you end up doing to get to do that?
Pretty much, bro, like literally cut everything out.
But if you couldn't eat red meat, and you couldn't do the green beans, and you couldn't do the sugars, like, were you more just like a paleo style? Did you go more keto?
Poultry, yeah, like lean turkey, lean chicken. My main carb was yuca, right? That's
Kielbasa.
Yeah, kielbasa. Yeah. So that's what I would eat, would be pretty much poultry, yuca, and my greens. Spinach, kale, broccoli. Unfortunately, I'm allergic to anything acidic, anything with a peel. So fruits could be a problem.
Yeah, but that helps you stay with sugar.
Yeah.
The allergies sometimes work in your advantage, man. It's
Yeah.
it's too
So
good to taste.
staying away from acidic foods, anything processed, no sugary drinks, no juice. Everything's just water.
Only Tito's.
I was a heavy whiskey drinker. Whiskey has a lot of
Yeah, it
sugar
does.
in it.
It's gonna
So
tear your stomach too.
one of the things the doctor told me is like, look, if you're gonna drink, try to drink as clean as possible. So
Vodka.
tequila or vodka.
Yeah.
Right. So that's what I better. So yeah, I drink a lot of
Have
Tito's.
you tried the tirzepatide, semaglutides? Have you tried hormones yet? Peptides? Is anything like that?
So what happened with me was that at 2020, I had a really bad car accident, but I had reached my goal because I was already back at my high school weight. I was almost 205. I was 210, 211 to be exact. So I was already on the high of like, shit, I'm almost on my high school weight.
Done it by myself.
I did it. 2020, I had a really bad car accident. That's when I had March of 2020. And then 2 weeks after that, we went into COVID lockdown, right?
Rough March for you, huh?
Yeah. So it was kind of like it was a social like impact on me. And honestly, on a business impact, because at the time I was working for a travel company, right? And travel took a big hit, 2020. So we got demoted. They took 25% of our salary. A lot of people that I've seen over the years, being with the company for 20 plus years, they got laid off. And I saw that and I didn't want to be part of that. And at the same time, I'm looking at one of my best friends still making it, still doing it on his own. We've always tried, like I said earlier, we tried to do things. And that's when I took the leap to, you know what, I'm just going to get into this S&P and really go full force. Taking the leap though, I left Miami, I left my routine, I left my eating habit to come work. And then I'm putting in 12, 14, 16 hours in the day. Now I don't know what to eat. I'm not meal prepping, I'm not cooking, so now I'm eating out. And slowly but surely, I'm 3 years in, I gained 60 pounds, close to 60 pounds. So now I'm going into my 4th week of tirzepatide.
Okay. Helping, right?
Yeah. So now, and like I already have the fasting in me. My problem is, like I said, the candida.
Yeah, and the overeating aspect. And because it controls your blood sugar, your desire for those types of foods becomes less.
And I could go, he knows, I could go 18, 24 hours without eating, no problem. That's not the problem. The problem is that when I do want to eat,
The wrong stuff.
It's the wrong
wrong
stuff.
shit,
right?
yeah.
So it's just, once I fell out of that routine, now it's trying to get back into it. And tirzepatide is helping. So
Wow.
currently 18 pounds down.
Hey.
And it's been on my 3rd week. So
Nice.
it's helping me along the journey. So I have about another 20, 30 pounds to go to get back to my...
Well, you know we're here for if you want to evaluate what the next step thing is to add on
So-
a little bit more speed to the weight loss. So
Another reason why I'm here is because I've been on testosterone therapy since 2018.
okay,
That was one of the deficiencies that I also had. I have autoimmune deficiencies that trigger lupus and rheumatoid arthritis. So, I try to stay, with that. But like I said, leaving Miami, I left my doctor, I left everything back there. And being here is kind of taking me a little bit of a...
adjustment. Yeah.
Yeah. And
We
then
got
I
some
really
other
don't know where to go, who to
Peptides and
trust.
things that you may not know of that can help too with the inflammation processes and avoiding some of the autoimmune flare-ups. So we'll be able to chat, off camera and get you lined up, and people can stay tuned and get you back down to that 205. We'll actually hit the goal this time.
Yeah. I mean, my goal is to get down to the 180s, the 190s.
Maybe.
Trying to...
I don't know.
You're pretty tall though.
Yeah,
You're pretty
you may
tall.
be a little skinny.
You might look a little sick at that way.
Come on, this guy is.
Nah, but the goal is just to be healthy.
That's
brother.
it, man. That's all it's about. And be happy. Be
Yes.
happy and be healthy.
Yeah.
You look great with the hairline, so now we just got to get the body
Thank you.
match.
Appreciate
right?
it. And it's more than just a tattoo for us, bro. Like, I know we started with the hair tattoo thing, but it's more of it's a us thing. And like I said, we only have our bodies and our hair. And that's the only
And
thing
Ashlons.
us as men.
That's long.
I mean, I'll say this too, as much as you guys say, like, and it's genuine, like my passion, and I love this business. I love the idea that we can help people turn themselves into the best version of themselves, or even a version they never thought was actually obtainable. I myself never thought I could get to where I am, and through my knowledge and my mentors, and my partner, Dr. Arsman, and other physicians I work with, I was able to turn myself into something that I never thought I could reach. And then I've helped, probably tens of thousands of people on the way. But you've got to love what you do. And if you're working with a clinic or you're working with an SFP group that's only seeing dollars and doesn't give a shit truly about you, there's somebody else out there that will take the same dollar but actually give a shit.
Yeah.
And if you've listened to enough of our podcasts, and I'm sure if people follow you guys, they know you live and eat and breathe this art, and you've taught thousands or hundreds of other guys how to do this. We love what we do, and I think that's what's most important. And guys like us will always succeed because the business we chose is the business we're passionate about. And
For sure.
I agree.
it's awesome that you guys are helping so many people out, and I appreciate you guys coming to us. So
Hell yeah, guys.
Sure.
Thank you. And guys, make sure to subscribe to the ManLab. 10% off if you go to bit.ly/TClinicsUSA on your first package. Mention the ManLab, and we'll see you next time.
Peace.